Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Parable of Design podcast. I'm so happy to be back. I bet you're like, wait a minute. I thought you said you were going to be here just a little bit of the time, but no, it's me again. I'm here with a little solo episode. It's all me, all my thoughts, my everything. And I think y'all will like the topic that I'll be talking about today. So, looking at my phone. Today, we're going to be chatting about how to navigate your career, your life, and everything else as a multifaceted person. So, I feel like this topic comes up a lot because most of the time, most folks have skills in more than one area. So, whether you're an artist, you're a designer, you're an app designer, a baker, a chef, a fireman, whatever, all these crazy examples. I feel like more often than not, there are a ton of things that you are good at, specifically speaking for those of which, like me, that have a creative career. I've read a lot of articles that talked about should we niche down, should we branch out, and what does that look like for us in our careers, in our personal life, in our hobbies, and everything else. So today's topic is going to be super cool. I know many of you who are listening to this are people who would define yourself as multifaceted or multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate people who have a lot of skills and passions and interests that you are very, very good at. And you're like, what do I need to do? Like, should I niche down? Should I get more specific and fine tune, my target audience and my skill set? Or should I branch out and have fun with it and just kind of go with the flow? So we'll be talking about that today. So to start, I'm currently reading this book called Matriarch by Tina Knowles. If you're not familiar with who Tina Knowles is, she is Beyonce's mama. So I absolutely love that because I love Beyonce. The book is an incredible read, and I've been telling everybody who would listen that they definitely should listen to it, especially if you're into Beyonce, if you were a fan of Destiny's Child, if you like Kelly Rowland, Solange, Del Williams, any of the girls who, have any proximity to Beyonce and, their uprising back in the 90s. It's a very, very excellent read. It's a very good read. I'm personally listening to the audiobook and Tina Knowles narrates it herself. But the part of the book that really struck my interest and inspired me to kind of mention it in this podcast is the fact that she's describing all of her many passions and how she was able to have a successful career because of it. So, spoiler alert, I don't really think this is giving away too much. If anything, it's just like a brief little summary. Probably could read this on the back of the book. I don't know, but Tina Knowles does talk about her upbringing. She talks about how her mom was a seamstress and would sew all of these beautiful jackets and dresses and things like that. She talks about Uncle Johnny, which Beyonce references to in one of her songs on the Renaissance album, if you're familiar with that. And that was her nephew and how they had such a great relationship. And he was able to sew and make all of these, beautiful wardrobes for people as well. And she also talks about herself, who eventually went on to open up her own hair salon called Headliners. And that was very, very successful. And as Destiny's Child grew, she did their hair and she was responsible for their wardrobe. And if I'm not mistaken, even with Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour and the Renaissance, she was a pivotal person playing a role in her wardrobe as well. And I think that's very exciting. I guess because maybe hair and wardrobe are two totally different things. I feel like maybe learning about almost genetically how, she was kind of predisposed to this talent and this gift. And utilizing those skills in her life and having successful careers, I really feel like that's a dream to not only have one, but two, and who knows how many else things she has, brought to life in this lifetime. I think that's the dream of any creative who would consider themselves, a Jill of all trades or a jack of all trades. So I think y'all should really check that book out. It truly resonated with me, and I think it definitely will be an inspirational read for any of you all who are interested in that. I'm listening to it once again. So if you're into audiobooks and that type of thing, it's definitely a great listen. But she's so talented. And as we know, Beyonce is so talented. And we learn about Solange in the book and how she's talented in so many ways. And I think, if anything, from this podcast episode, I just want y'all to take away from it that explore, have fun, and really appreciate and hone in on your gifts because those things are important and those things make you unique. So earlier, I referenced Jack of all trades or Jill of all trades. Do y'all actually know what that entire quote is? I'll wait. Let me know because I feel like a lot of folks don't know what the entire quote of that is. Sometimes people say that and they trying to throw a little shade when they say like, "Oh, you're a jack of all trades," and then sometimes people mean it in a positive way, like, "Oh yeah, I'm very excellent at a lot of things. I come with a very voracious skill set." And I'm excited about that. But let me get my notes because I don't want to quote y'all wrong. But basically, the quote in its fullness is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Yeah, they ate with that. Okay, I'm going to say it again. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So basically, we've been only taking a little tidbit of the quote when really there's so much more to it that alludes to the fact that it's actually very awesome to have all of these skills. So as I mentioned before, sometimes people throw shade when you're doing a little bit of that, you're doing a little bit of this. And I'm like, you need to calm down. You need to focus on one thing. Actually, I don't. But for real, like that's how I feel about that. So I love that. And I was like, I read that and I knew I've been knowing that for a while. So when I reference someone as a Jill or Jack of all trades, I mean it in the highest of compliments because I personally think it's exciting coming from a person who I too have a lot of skills, but whether they're being shady or not, take that baby and understand that you are amazing. So with that amazingness, I think the topic comes up, what do I do with all of this amazingness? I'm an artist, I'm an illustrator. I do videography, I do photography, I do app design. Um, I can fix cars. I could build a shed if you needed me to. I can whip it up in the kitchen. You do it all. But speaking, more specifically as far as like creative careers, how should you navigate? I feel like a lot of people, especially kind of very early on, had that question of what does that look like for me? And it's more than should I go right or left. You got a lot of different. You could go right, left, north, south, east, west, because essentially you have so many options because you have so many skills. So today I'm gonna kind of be discussing, I guess, like some pros and cons of niching down or branching out as a multifaceted person, whereas a Jill or Jack of all trades. So let's begin. So I always want to start with my own experience just to kind of give some context of what I even mean when I'm talking about, having all of these different skills or if you should niche down and things like that. So when I was in college about 10 years ago, I graduated from college about 10 years ago. I attended Jackson State University, and I tell folks all the time, Jackson State had the most comprehensive undergrad BA graphic design degree. So my degree is art with a concentration on graphic design. We took everything. We had color theory, app design, uh, sculpture, photography. And it wasn't just photography one, it was like photography two. And I think we might have taken photography three. I don't even know how we were taking all of these classes on top of like the art histories and all of that. We had drawing, we had motion design, we had package design. And I say this not to even toot my own horn, but there was not a class that I took that I not only did not enjoy, but low key didn't excel at because I loved it and it was being creative and it was being creative in different ways. So when I graduated, I was like, yeah, I just want to be all of this. I'm like, I'm a graphic designer and I do all of these things. And I mean, granted, to a certain extent, absolutely, you can do all of that. So I graduated and then I say maybe about 3 months later, I end up getting my first role as a graphic designer. My title was marketing assistant, but nonetheless, I was able to work and y'all, they had me doing a lot of things. I was taking pictures of products. So they would get new products in all the time and they would need them to be listed a certain type of way on a white background and stuff on Amazon, on Walmart, on their own website, like the whole spiel. They had me doing static graphics, animated graphics. They had me creating like more technical sort of I guess like instruction manuals. I made their first catalog, which I was so proud of. And then we also had a mailer that would go out like monthly. And it was a thing. And I loved the versatility of being able to do all of those things because once again, I'm in college. I'm like, I like everything that I'm doing. I want to continue to do everything. So honestly, truly, I'm super grateful for their role because they really just gave me the freedom to do it all. And it was just so very exciting. So we'll fast forward. This is 2016. I've graduated. I'm in this role. We'll navigate to about 2017. And I'm freelancing. I have been, dibbling and dabbling with freelancing when I was in college, but outside of college, I definitely, had built a network back in Jackson, Mississippi. And now I was, taking it on with me back to Memphis, Tennessee when I moved back home. And as I'm, doing my research, kind of fine-tuning my portfolio, my web portfolio, and looking into that and trying to learn more about freelancing, I learned that people were saying that you should niche down. So I was like, okay, well, I do, want to make more money. I do understand the rationale behind that, having fine tuning it, having a more specific target audience and being able to kind of hone in on that one thing that you know that you're very good at and offer that and just really not have to worry about doing other things because this is your thing and you know that you're going to get all these clients wanting that super specific thing. And that worked for a while. My specific thing, I guess, was just me being more of a I guess you could say like a digital designer. That's crazy. That's what I do now. I was just making a lot of like social media flyers, Snapchat filters. Do y'all remember when that was a thing? I haven't used Snapchat in years. It could still be a thing, but back then that was like super popular. Lots of banners, lots of like full blown like I guess you could call them campaigns, but when people need multiple things for, different events. So like ticket design, flyer design, they need banners, they need many like the whole, thing. And that was exciting and that was cool for a while, but then I began to be like, I really miss web design. I really miss, motion design. I really miss illustration. I miss photography. And I watched myself begin to slowly but surely branch out and instead of niching down, I, niche the opposite way. And I found myself slowly branching out and incorporating more of the things that I loved into my services that are offered. And that's just kind of like a little background story for me and for my freelance career and the skills and things that I have. I think it just all really depends. So I'm not really here to tell you yay or nay or how you should, do whatever. I think, whatever you choose is the best thing for you, but do what feels good and do what feels right. And I think you'll be able to make the best decision. So we'll start with niching down. So should you niche down? So once again, the definition of a niche is being super, super specific. So example of a niche would be I create logos for churches. That is a very specific thing that you do. That is a very specific target audience. You have brought that all the way down. And from my perspective, a niche could be a little bit broader. You can open it up as much as you want to be. But once again, it's you just being more specific about the projects you want to take on and the target that you want to be in the audience that you want to target as you're doing your work and taking on more clients. So that's what that's honestly all about. So discussing pros and cons of that. It's one passion. So if you're super passionate about photography and you're super passionate about newborns, perhaps you really want to do newborn photography. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's a niche. That is awesome. And there are lots of babies being born and mamas who want gorgeous pictures of their children. It's easy to market. So once again, if you're a photographer and you like, working with newborn babies, so you're a newborn photographer, it is easy for you to say, hey, I am Daria Red and I do newborn photography. Boom. They are going to come to you. On the flip side, branching out or not having a niche or not niching down would be you just deciding, hey, I've been doing newborn photography for X, Y, Z years. I think I want to branch out to dogs. I think I want to branch out to groups, to families, to whatever. You're still doing photography, but you're still branching out to do other things as well. Um, Perhaps when it comes to photography, maybe you decide that you want to do set design as well. I feel like that's a part of a photographer's role, especially if you're freelancing and you are a one-man band. Perhaps you are creating your own sets, or maybe you work on a team and a person does the sets and you're like, oh, I'm interested in that too. That could also be another way of branching out. So it doesn't have to really be anything complicated. I think it all has to do with your passions, what excites you, what fuels you, and what you can provide to this world as a service as you are, freelancing, and whether this be a side hustle or your main job. It's just all about that decision. I personally think it's cool either way. So if you decide, like, and I'm using photography as an example because it's, kind of an easy one, but I think either way you really can't go wrong. It really just kind of depends on how you feel on the inside. So if maybe you branch out and you're like, yeah, I'm loving the newborn thing, I'm loving the dog thing, I'm loving the family thing, and then you're like, but this family thing really has me overwhelmed. You try to, give it your all. You try to, really, try to get organized, discipline, whatever you need to do to really be successful at it. Maybe you're like, yeah, this isn't working for me. That's a way to niche yourself right on back down and be like, yeah, I just offer newborn and dog photography. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think typically the question of which to do just comes from people who cannot choose. And I think I always recommend for folks to find you something that will make you money. Because at the end of the day, we're grown, we're adults, we have needs, everything costs. What can make you money right now? Okay, whether that is you working a 9 to 5 or you freelancing, what is that thing? And then if you have, still 2, 3, 4, 5 other skills, begin to branch out while you have this one steady thing that will allow you to have the income you need to survive. And that is the equation that I use. So, yeah. And I think it's been working. It's been working for me. I personally really like stability. Everybody has their own, things, but that is not really an equation, but it's just I guess a mind frame or a way of thinking about it so that you can decide and you can choose what at least to start with. And then from there, you can incorporate other things and, use that knowledge and that skill set that have a very strong understanding of to branch out and to, learn and to just grow in that area, literally like branching out like a tree. So if that's the question, I would definitely say that if you're at work, perhaps you can take on other projects. So, maybe you're a designer, but you like photography and you see that there is a need for that at work. Perhaps you can, begin to take on photography projects because just like when I worked at the company as a marketing assistant, I told them that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good at photography too. So I'd love to take pictures of your, products if you need that because that's exciting and I can offer that. And so I'm not just designing for you. I can make sure that you have that photography. Typically, that would look like creating packages and things like that on your website and stuff like that. So y'all probably know this already, but people really get confused about that. And I get it. I understand it. But I'm just here to, serve as a, point of reason and a voice of a person who has experienced a lot. I've done the niche down thing. I've done the branch out thing. And, I had the opportunity to talk to so many successful and exciting people who are, dibbling and dabbling in both. And I think their experiences are interesting. And it's exciting. Y'all know I love the word exciting. Okay. Everything's so exciting to me because it is. So The cons of, I guess, like branching out would be versatility. It just gives you an opportunity to work on multiple things versus when you are niching down, you cannot. Um, no day will look the same. People like me love that. I love, working at a job when this day I'm making a lookbook, that day I'm working on photography, this day I'm working on a website. I love that because it allows me to utilize different skill sets and it's really exciting. But if you're the type of person that's like, nah, my thing is this, then I think that's 1000% awesome. Definitely if you're curious about like target audiences and things like that, think about what you like to work with. How does it make you feel? Where do you find your groove? Where do you, really find your flow? And I think that'll, help you really, get a better understanding of that. I think we all have, maybe, you're affiliated with being like Greek, or maybe you're into sports. Maybe you really like music. Maybe you really, whatever it may be. That's definitely a surefire way of helping you figure out your niche and figure that out. And even if you do branch out, you'll still have a target audience. So don't think that just branching out, you'll just be flailing in the wind. You definitely, and I would absolutely recommend having a target audience. You don't have to necessarily define that right away. I think that's something that you can kind of explore and figure out along the way as you're working with different clients. What are those things that you like to do? Some people are just so super awesome that they just have these very specific interests that, lends itself to it becoming, the target that they want for this particular thing that they're doing. Like people who are really into film, but they also love cars and they find themselves, being into maybe like car photography or making documentaries about people who drive, in NASCAR. I don't know, but let that guide you. Your who you are and your interests are definitely your North Star that you can seek and that you can look to when you're trying to figure things out. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. Um and I will say it's good to have a certain audience. Your audience can be uh people who don't mind spending a little money, okay? There is absolutely nothing wrong with saying I don't want a cheap client. No, for real. If you don't want that, don't do that. Don't even honestly sell yourself short like that by giving super discounted, work to people because it's honestly just not worth it. I think, you know, do what price what feels good to yourself, but honestly, if your target is just like, yeah, I want to work with very serious clients who have very exciting ideas and they are waiting, willing, and ready with the money to get these things done. You don't have to wait for the invoice to be paid. You don't have to hunt them down, track them down, hustle with them a little bit. That's 1000% fine. I think we all should have that target audience. So, but that's just me. Okay. Um, Also balance. So with versatility comes that balance. Like I was saying, you just can do a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of this versus if you, have a niche, you're just doing that specific thing. It's all about what feels good to you. And that leads me to my next point. Do what works for you. Whatever you decide, do it with intentionality. So just truly be intentional about it. Think about what really sparks your interest. Think about, what when you find your groove, what makes you feel good. And I think that'll help you figure out which direction you need to go, what you need to choose, what that feels like, how that may be. I'm always a person about being intentional about it. And being intentional just means you got all these clients, they're coming to you, they're needing work, they're doing stuff. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to stuff that gives you the ick. Clients that may give you the ick. Projects that may give you the ick. You're like, I don't want to do that. Gone. And you can go ahead and write that off the list. Or you get something and you're like, oh my God, this does it for me. And granted, I ain't gonna lie, every project will not just do it for you. It will just be a source of income. Throw it in your portfolio and move on. Okay. I just want to put that out there. But honestly, with being intentional, you'll feel that. And you'll be like, yeah, I want to go more into this direction. And that's amazing. Do that. Go in that direction. Do the whole thing. It's incredible. I'm telling you. And have fun. Have fun exploring, have fun being intentional, have fun experimenting with, different clients and projects and recognizing what works and what doesn't work. But also have fun by recognizing that everything doesn't have to be for money. You can just have a hobby. You can just have many skills and just make them be many hobbies and find yourself never being bored because you always have so many things to do. Like capitalism has really sold us this thing where they make it seem like everything you do has to be a side hustle, and it does not. If you are good at photography and you just like photography just being your thing and you like taking pictures of butterflies and uh cars, architecture, museums, buildings. You don't necessarily have to go into a business doing that. Like, you do know that, right? You can just enjoy that for yourself and just have fun doing it and letting it just be a thing that brings you that just a source of joy and go on with your day. But however, if you do, since we are talking about creative careers, freelancing and all of that, you know, once again, maybe there are certain things that you do for money, and then there are certain things that you just have fun with. Because the thing about hobbies is that you don't have to be so excellent at it. You don't have to be great. You actually can just be continuously bad at it, and it doesn't matter because it's a hobby and you're having fun doing it. Something this isn't necessarily a hobby, but this is just a story of a person taking their creative um expertise and turning it into something totally different and successful. I always think about the guy who created Liquid Death. So Liquid Death is like the water. It looks super cool. It's in aluminum cans. It has like this like super like rock star vibe. Some of the cans are like gold, some of them are like red, some of them are black. It's beautiful. The branding is everything. And if I'm not mistaken, I loved how I started things off with that. He was a graphic designer and he worked with like rock concerts and rock bands and stuff like that. And he saw people holding like energy drinks and beers and stuff. And he saw that and he was, very intrigued about a way to have water look as cool as these energy drinks and things looked. And it's probably most definitely more to the story. You should definitely look it up and read more into it. But that's cool. I love how he's like taking one thing and then making it a very, business minded solution and creating a product that's gorgeous and it tastes good and you can't beat that. And it definitely stands out. It's definitely its own thing. I remember the first time I saw one, I was like, Liquid Death. What does that mean? I was so intrigued by it. And then I tasted it and I was like, oh, this tastes good. I think it was like the mango. Um like the mango and sparkling water, they're delicious. But anyway, that's just I don't know, a little tidbit. That's just very exciting about, different ways that you can use um your skills in different ways to branch out. It just doesn't have to be skills, skills, skills. It can be I'm a subject matter expert in this and I want to utilize this over here in an entirely different sector. Kind of like Beyonce's mom taking, her skills and love of hair and wardrobe and turning that into some of the most beautiful, costumes and hair we've ever seen on a group of, women there musically and things like that. So it's all relative. It's all exciting. Um, Last thing, explore, explore, explore. I may have already mentioned this earlier, but don't ever stop exploring. This does not have to be an overnight thing. Have fun with it. Understand that it's it's a journey, just like life. Life is a journey. And the more creative you are and the more you stay true to yourself and the things that you want to do and the things that make sense to you, you'll begin to find your groove and your way and you'll just be able to make those decisions about which way you need to go. So I'm not making a recommendation. I think both are great. I think it just depends on the person and what they see for themselves and see for their futures, but it's just really all about being creative, honing in on those skills, staying true to yourself, and figuring that out. And while you're being intentional with it, have fun with it, explore with it, take every opportunity with each client, each project, each everything to figure yourself out. And before you know it, you'll be, I'm XYZ and I work with XYZ. And I love that, I really do. I do. I think, and I am excited. I'm excited for my own self. So my last point on my phone, which I always think is so unprofessional to look at, is how do I feel about it? Okay. I'll be honest. I'm very much in the exploratory phase. I'm having a lot of fun with my creative career. As you can see, I'm podcasting, y'all. This had, I'm having fun with this. This had been something that I wanted to do for a while. So I'm just adding this to the list of things that I can do, skills that I have, and I learn more and more about it each day. So definitely, if I were to answer that, well, I will say this. Like I said about being intentional and paying attention to clients and projects, I have been paying attention. Certain things have been giving me the ick. Um, I won't say what they are. You'll have to stay tuned and maybe I'll reveal what that may be. But I'm like, yeah, I can't see myself doing much more of that. There's nothing wrong with it. I just, staying true to myself. I see a different path for myself and I'm really excited about that. But who knows, in the future, I may go down this path and I'm like, I miss it. It's always, I miss it. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. Just having fun, exploring, working with different clients, working on different projects, podcasting, just having fun with so many different mediums and things and just experimenting and not really placing myself in a box right now. It's just whatever comes to mind. If I feel it, if I have an idea, I'm gonna try my hardest to execute it. That's the phase that I'm in. It's not really I'm doing this, da 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 da. Like I said, like I recommended, get you, and if you're into 9 to 5s, get you a nice little 9 to 5 that can, serve as the basis for you, so you can have some money coming in, and then in all of your free time, have fun with it, figure things out, and go from there. Because at least you'll be stable and can do all the things that you need to be, and you won't be a starving artist. Oh my God, I hate that phrase. Ugh, I loathe it, actually. Like, why would you say that? People are so weird. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, like, why you hate? Anyway, so this has been good. I hope this episode offered the necessary insight for you to begin thinking about if you should have a niche or if you should branch out or whatever you're feeling at this moment. Explore. Go read Matriarch by Tina Knowles. It's a beautiful read. What else did I mention? Oh, Liquid Death. Read up on that. That's super cool. Both of those will be, enough reading for the rest of the month, all the way into June, or until the next episode comes out. Um, but yeah, this has been lovely. Thank you all for all the listens, and all the feedback. I really do love it. The comments, the DMs, the everything. Y'all have just been so supportive, and I'm so excited about this new community that I'm creating of folks who are just listening to me. That's crazy to even think about, but I super appreciate it, and I look forward to the next episode. And stay tuned to the next episode. Let me know what you think. Are you in the process of narrowing down and getting a little bit more specific when it comes to the things that you offer, the services you offer, the clients that you want, or are you branching out? Or are you, having fun like me and just exploring and experimenting right now? All super cool, all super awesome, all a part of this journey and this life. So this is it, y'all. Until next time, it's me, Daria Red. I'm out. Bye.